Well, the two contradicting resignation letters submitted by outgoing Tshwane Mayor Randal Williams have created further tensions and a political fallout in the capital city. The Tshwane Council will sit tomorrow to determine which letter to accept. Let's cross there now to our SABC News senior reporter, Patricia Visagie, who's certainly been on this story for us throughout. Patricia, we've been hearing this issue of the two resignation letters. And I remember yesterday when we were having a conversation with one of the leaders of the EFF, in Pretoria, he said, listen, the first letter must stand. What he had said and indicated in his first resignation letter is what should stand. What are we hearing today? What is the latest on this issue of two resignation letters?
Of course, Council Speaker addressed us. He held a media briefing, and he was joined by the Section 79 chairpersons and the Chair of Chairs, Mr. Saki Deploy. And basically what they're saying is that it's now in the hands of Council to decide which letter stands. But of course, you've heard, the two sides, the opposition parties such as the EFF, the ANC, even SAMU saying that the first letter stands, and that means that by midnight yesterday, the mayor actually vacated office. He should leave. We even heard the EFF saying that his protection detail, the city cars, all of that, all his benefits should be returned, and all his mayoral powers actually seized by midnight. But of course, the second letter has created a conundrum where they do not know where does that actually leave the powers of the mayor. And now here I'm joined by, of course, the Council Speaker, Mr. Morunwa Makwerela. Thank you so much. You're saying it's up to Council to decide what's the way forward. It is a very tense situation. There was a meeting yesterday with the coalition partners, but Council has the last say.
Yeah, look, it's not as tense as it's made sound like. There's a law, and we will uphold and abide by the law of the country. Now, I explained that in terms of Section 55 of the Municipal Structures Act, when the mayor, in light of Section 27A, has tendered a resignation in writing, there is a resignation. So the two letters, both of them have something in common. They both are saying, I have resigned. But the difference is the effect of the resignation. So that's what the legal advice was saying. Whether it was effected last night or whether it shall be effected from the 28th of February, the bottom line is that the mayor has resigned.
But there are bigger implications here. Should the second letter be accepted by Council, it ultimately means that the mayoral committee also collapses.
That is the law. So tomorrow we are going to cancel when the Speaker receives the resignation of the mayor in writing, which I've already indicated. The Speaker will have to submit the report to Council so that Council can effect the resignation. So that's basically what is going to happen tomorrow. We're going to have a special Council meeting. The Speaker will table an unopposed report which will talk about the resignation of the mayor. You know, those two letters will be submitted before Council, and then Council will ventilate on them and then actually resolve as to the way forward. So the bottom line is that we now have a vacancy because the mayor has resigned, and the Council will express, the parties will debate, and then the net result is that we are going to resolve as to how we are going to fill up that vacancy.
The mayor jumped ship before he could face a motion of no confidence, but you're saying that you received 4 motions of no confidence. Just briefly explain the other 3 motions of no confidence. Against who was it, and the possibility of hearing those ones?
Okay, thank you very much. Look, Pat, according to our rules and orders, motions of no confidence are allowed. Now, I have received 4 motions from what we call the minor parties. We have 6 minor parties, each of them outside the coalition government. They have 1 seat each. Now, those 4 motions are from them. The first motion was against the mayor. The second motion, and it has now qualified, and I will actually expand more on those motions of no confidence. The second motion is against the Chief Whip of Council. The third motion is against all the chairpersons of portfolio committees, that is the Section 79 portfolio committees. And then the last motion, if you would recall, that in December, the CFO was fired. We all had it. We were all in recess. So we had it in the news and this and that. But, there's the city manager, the CFO, and other Section 56 are appointed by council. Now, that motion is not so much the motion of no confidence against the city manager. It is a motion that says the city manager has usurped power from council. So he should have actually have gotten approval from council. So that motion is saying the city manager must be subjected to disciplinary processes.
Will this be heard tomorrow as well?
No. Tomorrow is a special council meeting that will only preoccupy itself with the resignation of the executive mayor of the city.
The issue about the damning Auditor General's report into the city's finances, of course, it's a lot of money that disappeared or that was used wrongly, irregular expenditure, wasteful expenditure. That is actually at the center of the mayor's resignation. And the big question has been, should you not all take responsibility? It's a collective indictment. The mayor has bowed out. Should not all of you leave because you all failed the city? Oversight did not take place. Why should the people of Tshwane have any confidence in any of you to continue running the affairs of the city?
Thank you very much. Look, I've explained this. We are the coalition government. After the elections in 2021, we coalesced actually to form the government. And this government, is comprised of 6 political parties. And we have agreed and publicized the agreement. That agreement had sponsored the mayorship to be actually advanced from the DA side. So in effect, what we are saying is that this government was formed by several political parties. Now, one of the common hallmarks of this agreement is the values that are enshrined in that agreement: good governance, transparency, and good financial conduct, and so on and so forth. So in terms of the mayor, he accounts to the party, but he also accounts to council. But what had transpired over the weekend is that the DA had actually dealt with the issue of the performance of their own mayor in their own right. Like all of us are sponsored by different political parties. Our performance is actually under scrutiny, both in council but also in our respective political parties. So in this case, we have what we call, the Constitution provides for what we call the separation of powers. Now, you would realize that the mayor and many other MMCs, or that form the executive, they are from different political parties. They are part of the executive. Myself, as the chairperson and the Speaker of Council, the chairperson of the Congress of the People in Tshwane, I'm in the legislature.
Okay, I understand this. It's a very simple question.
Yeah.
You were all present when the city's finances were used wrongly. We're talking about over 10 billion rand here. Of course, we've heard the different narratives that it's not exactly 10 billion. The point is, it is in the region of billions. It was used irregularly, and many of you are still sitting. You're still going to occupy your positions. The mayor has been held accountable by his political party. Why should the rest of you stay when you were all part of the mess?
I think what you are asking is a very difficult question, in that council is a collective of both the governing coalition and the opposition. Everything that happens is approved by council. So what you are saying is tantamount to saying that is, are all the councillors going to resign? Because everything was approved in council, including by the opposition. Remember that. So all of us are held accountable severally and
How are you held accountable? The mayor is gone. He's held accountable. How will the rest of you be held accountable?
We are held accountable in council. That's what I'm trying to say. But equally, when I said the separation of powers, each one of us have different roles and responsibilities. Now, part of the media conference that we just had was actually playing out the part that oversight should do. And that's precisely what we were elaborating as to exactly what shall transpire after, we have received the Denning report from the AG.
There's the annual report that needs to be tabled, the adjusted budget needs to be tabled. All of this goes to the heart of service delivery. It's supposed to happen by end of this month. Now, with the issue of the mayor, it means this process will be delayed. What is the plan to make sure that things do not collapse, service delivery is not compromised while we await for these reports to be, finally tabled?
Yeah, as soon as it has come to my attention as the Speaker of Council, I had convened the special council meeting for tomorrow to actually retable, first of all, to resend the annual report and then to retable the correct annual report. What is actually going on here is that the previous annual report had the wrong annexure from the APC, which is the Independent Audit Committee. But now the chairperson of the Independent Audit Committee had submitted the correct annexure of the report to the Speaker. And I had brought it to the executive, and on Monday, they actually wrote to the Speaker to say that they were not ready to retable the report. And we are taking advantage of that meeting that was already called to deal with the issues of the resignation of the mayor. But however, as soon as we deal with this issue tomorrow, we'll reconvene other meetings to ensure that we are not late for the resubmission of our annual report. We are also not late for the submission of the budget adjustment processes.
All right, thank you so much. That's one Speaker just bringing us in to the picture as to what we can expect tomorrow. But I think for many of us, we await with bated breath to see will the Tshwane Mayor Council continue with their work after tomorrow, or will everything come to a standstill? Will the mayoral committee collapse, meaning that a new process awaits? But as I said, it really goes to the heart of service delivery, which will directly impact the people of Tshwane when the annual report is not tabled on time, the adjusted budget is not tabled on time. As we know that we're also nearing the end of the financial year, the State of the City address needs to take place. So there's a whole lot of issues that needs to take place, and all of this is embedded in the resignation of the Tshwane mayor. It compromises so many issues. Also, the political relationship that clearly is impacted. You heard here the Speaker saying that the DA is actually at the center of this. They've recalled one of their own, but what happens to the rest of the coalition partners when they have taken powers from the mayor as all this importance needs to take place this month? But we'll see what happens in, of course, the council, the EFF saying that they are standing by their grounds, some as well. The ANC, they do not want the mayor to stay on until the 28th of February. Of course, it's a fight that is waiting to happen tomorrow.
And certainly we do see that. Many thanks to you, Patricia Visagie, for us in Pretoria. Thanks for that in-depth report. They were certainly keeping an eye on that story for you and the goings-on in Tshwane.